Empty Show. My name's Joey, and I'm joined by Paul.
All right, mate.
And by Neil.
Hello there.
It's kind of difficult to understand how to feel about Cov at the moment, because even though we won yesterday and we won against Port Vale, the Charlton defeat and the fact that we're doing so shit generally still makes it feel really horrible, doesn't it? But it's been, I guess, Port Vale was really good. I know it was only me there. And yesterday sounds like it was okay. Was it okay?
Yeah, okay. Well, I think it was probably better than okay.
That's good.
That's, I mean, my feelings towards Cov are fairly transient. It goes on a day-by-day basis. But today, I'm feeling okay about them.
Yeah, I'm quite confused. But I think we'll try and solve some of that confusion as we get through the next half an hour or so. What were your moments of the week? Paul, perhaps you'd like to start us.
I know we try and keep the politics to a minimum on this, but I was impressed with the pig protest and the fact that not just the way it was organised, but it was nice to see fans from not just Coventry and Charlton, but other clubs protesting as one, because this does irritate me. Not that I'm really proud of. You saw the advert yesterday there was an advert on Sky. I think it's on Sky. It's about Sky Bet, and it's the guy for Preston scoring a wonder goal, and it's like, football's for the many, not the few. And you're like, Sky, you're trying your hardest to make sure football's for the few. But to see fans united against owners who are less than ideal is a really nice thing. And just seeing the amount of media coverage that the pig protest got was fantastic. And while I don't think it probably, in the grand scheme of things, is any closer to Sisu leaving, unfortunately, I think it is nice to see that fans do look after one another, and it's just not all tribal.
Neil, thoughts on the pigs?
Yeah, quite similar to Paul, actually. I think ultimately it won't do anything. It's in the same way that I don't think Saturday not turning up is going to do anything, because they've already got the money in their pocket. But I think just as a sort of a symbol, as a gesture, the fact that two sets of fans, and I should say, I think they're nowhere near in the same boat as us, by the way. But no. I'll let them have it, because they're trying to help us out. But no, you're not jumping on our pig protest. But it was it was decent.
I'm usually the first miserable sod to point out and go, oh yeah, but it doesn't make any sense, or blah blah blah. And I think, I agree with both of you. I don't think that it's going to force Sisu out or whatever. But I did like the innovation behind it, and I do. And whilst I think that media attention is largely redundant at a time where press outlets seem to be falling over themselves to talk about it, but even still, I don't think that makes any difference to the overall landscape. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was. I think sometimes it is worth protesting just to kind of stamp your feet and make it clear that you're not happy, even if it's not to necessarily create some sort of very specific outcome or action. And when it's as different as that, and as sort of interesting and innovative, and when it creates something like the reaction. So I wasn't there, but I've seen some of the highlights of it, and the people having to. I mean, the sheer volume of pigs was just really outstanding, weren't it?
Where have the pigs gone? Where are they now?
I don't know.
Someone please alert us to this, because it's a shame for all these pigs.
But it would be. It's a very big shame, but it would be really great to see some more innovative stuff like that. That I guess, I don't know, maybe even injected a slight bit of levity into proceedings. I'm with you too. I thought it was a really smart move. Neil, your moment of the week?
Probably Benjamin yesterday. I won't go on too much about it, but the goal was just. I often sort of predict what's going to happen on the pitch before it's happened. Not that I get it right, but when someone's about to shoot, it will either be, oh, don't shoot, or before it's. And I had that same sort of feeling about when he got the ball, just because we don't score 25 yards very often. So he got the ball, and I was like, oh, are you going to shoot? And it was such a shock to see that ball go in the net, especially because he didn't really hammer it. It was just really nicely guided. So that was my moment, although it was almost ruined or almost spoiled. Not that moment, but just Venus's post-match interview, which he's winding me up a little bit at the moment. Yeah, he's very negative, very desperately trying to curb any sense of ambition or. I mean, he keeps saying, there's no way we can win 5 in a row. There's no way we can win 5 in a row, which in my mind is, okay, you're allowed to lose a couple of the next few games, which is not on, and I don't stand for it. So that's a complete aside, but he needs to get his Coventry hat off and start acting like an actual ambitious manager and trying to turn this around.
Yeah, there should be absolutely no reason why we can't win
it's League
5
One,
in a row. It's just as absurd. It's not
just setting yourself up like that, or just right. We're not going to win. I know it's sort of like reverse psychology, but we've had 30 years of reverse psychology trying to prepare ourselves for failure. It doesn't really work. Set some standards, and it might actually help us.
I think that anybody in League One can win 5 games in a row. It's League One.
Yeah,
but as we discussed ad infinitum, I think. You listen to or you read Mike Appleton's pre-match interview, and it's like Coventry at bottom, we're going to keep them there, and I think you could sort of see in Oxford's display to an extent they were overly confident. I think it's almost better at the moment to continue to give this team the underdog feeling. I know it's all psychosomatic and it's all bollocks because we all sort of agree that players don't give a shit what the managers say after the game, but I think at the moment. Having that mentality of, it's probably not a bad thing for this side. I think
they had it when they were losing, though, Paul. It's not like that would change.
No, but I just think, sort of, at the end of the day, Oxford, I think, were poor yesterday. I was quite surprised by how poor they were. Yet we still only, and we're going to get onto this, we only actually scored with our 2 chances, and I think it's just a case of it was. A one-off game. The previous game, we got absolutely mullered by Charlton. And I think it's just a case of, it's football cliche, we'll take one game at a time. But there's no harm in that at the moment. I think let's just steadily build it. The nicest thing, or the best thing he said was, these boys have got the shirt, I think they deserve another chance. Which I think, unless there's an injury, means that starting 11 is going to start against Rochdale. Which is, I think what we all agree is something that needed to happen a while ago. And they did look a bit more organised, especially, we'll get onto this, but the midfield 3, for the first time this season I've seen, looked like they all knew what their jobs were. We looked like a team who had a unit. So, I don't mind him not getting overexcited.
Well, that's fair. I will not have us settling for being rubbish. I think that's my only issue.
But the thing is, he's not, is he? If he comes out and goes, we're going to win the next 6, and we lose next week...
It's not about saying that, though. It's I don't know. I just don't... Things like that really wind me up. I think we're so stuck in this, it's okay just to be mediocre kind of sort of mindset, and I really want to shake it. Like last night, we're so self-deprecating. We're taking a piss out of ourselves. It feels like we sort of revel in it. Like we're singing songs, we're winning at home. And I know people I love the humour, but I don't. I just think it's symbolic of our entire culture at this club at the moment.
But I think it's almost that thing that if you don't laugh at it, you wouldn't still go because you just drive you up the wall. It's like last season when we were at Barnsley and I was stood with Laurie and Joey, like those two were going spare and I was laughing at it because if I didn't laugh at it, I'd just walk out the ground and just never go back.
Laugh internally, fine. Don't sing songs which makes you look like an idiot. It just embarrasses me. I sit there and stand listening to. We're 1-0 up at home to Oxford, and we're reveling in it, and it's just fucking. I just think it sets completely the wrong tone for the football club. We're League One. We shouldn't be in this league. I don't care what people say. We should not be in this league, and it's just the whole mindset. You wouldn't get this at Leeds. Put it that way. They wouldn't have it.
I don't know. My biggest worry was when they were singing. About how shit they were. And it was like, we played them again in 4 games. You've basically just given them their team talk. It's just like, just shut up. Sing something positive. That was the other thing.
Yeah, maybe shut up. Yeah, shut up.
Shut up. Or just sing.
Silence.
Or just sing something positive. And I sort of do see where you're coming from. But it's also a case of, I think, people have got to take it their own way, and sporting Cov just isn't easy.
I do see what you mean. I just feel like sometimes we need to puff our chests out a bit and just sort of say, "Well, fuck this. We're at home. We're a big club. We're dominating you. Let's stop sort of trying to eke in that old mentality again. Let's just be a bit proud of ourselves.
But it's hard to be proud of yourself when you're second from bottom and it's your first home win of the season.
It's a mindset.
You know what I mean?
It's a mindset. It's not like, I don't know. Yeah,
but I think the thing is sometimes if you go into, as I said, if you've got that mindset of we're a big club, I think you can. We've done that over the years. I mean, not what you're saying, but the amount of times you'd listen to a phone in after the game, it's like, we're only Swansea, and it's like, yeah, Swansea now a Premier League club. Only Hull, Hull a Premier League club. It's like, that always got on my tits just as much as being the underdog. It's like, oh, we're only playing so-and-so, and it's like, they're at the same level as us. We are a big club, but we're also not in one sense. We're an average-sized club. It's like, we're getting 1/3 of our stadium less. Yesterday, Oxford had 2,000 fans there. They probably had 1/3 of the gate for a home game on a Tuesday night. So, where is this big club? Because yesterday I looked around the Cov fans, I saw an averagely sized or small club in a massive stadium.
Yeah, I'm going to support Spurs.
But it's circumstantial, isn't it? I think you're both right. I think, Neil, I love the sentiment of what you're saying. I think I want you in the dressing room and I want you talking to the players, because I think you're right. And I think that I think what's interesting is it's almost not the words that you're talking about, it's what they represent, and it's that feeling that because I think you're both right. I think that some people need to express their pain or whatever through gallows humour or whatever, but I think that what you're saying is it's representative of a kind of acceptance of mediocrity, isn't it? Or that it's somehow funny, and I think you are really inflamed by it, and I think you should be. I think it is nonsense what we're going through at the moment, and have been going through for the last 10, 15 years or whatever. And it's like it's now, we're so desensitised to it that it's kind of like, oh yeah, this is where we're at, and you kind of feel like slapping some people, like myself included, and just being like, what? When did we just accept this? When was this something that just happened? But I think so much of it is out of our hands that I don't mind people singing in that way, but I can completely see where you're coming from. I'm going to move it on so that we can talk about football. My moment of the week, I mean, isn't a moment of the week necessarily, but I'm going to kind of put a moment on it. We're not going to talk about the Port Vale game, which is a shame because that was by a country mile the best we played this season from what I've seen. It was McCann scoring the second goal in front of our fans in the second half, and the realisation that, one, that we were likely to win that game, but secondly, we were likely to win that game as a result of what was a really tremendous performance by the team, but very specifically performances by Ben Stevenson and Bigi Stevenson. And I want to start off by talking about them this season and in the context of their performances yesterday, and I want to give you one of them each. So Paul, I'd like you to start off by talking to us about Ben Stevenson and his thraker last night, and then Neil, if you can give us some Biggie chat straight after. Do you think about
that? I mean, the goal is almost the least impressive part of Ben Stevenson's performance yesterday.
Yeah, but you hate goals, don't you?
Well, bloody goals. Ruining
I mean, any old idiot can score from 35 yards, 25 yards. I mean, even Sam Ricketts has scored from that distance. It takes a special player to be so dominant of a midfield and so composed on the ball and to have such good reading of the game at only 19. And yesterday, we've discussed him a little bit, and it's like, you try not to go OTT on these kids because they are kids, and I don't think he's made 10 league appearances. But you just watch him yesterday, and it's to the manner born. It's just so easy for him that you almost can't go over, can't help yourself but walk away just going, all I want to do is talk about Ben Stevenson. All I want to do is talk about how I've seen a 19-year-old English kid play a style of football which you don't see very often at our level, and he's just that composed. And as I said to Joey off air, that I didn't need people to ring at the radio and go, oh, he's far better player than James Maddison will ever be. It's like, James Maddison is a special footballer. What we're very fortunate at the moment is to have another special footballer So let's not slag off players who've left and compare him in a negative way. Let's just watch Ben Stevenson and hopefully watch him for a good couple of years, because what we want to do is not do what some players do where we lose him to, like what happened to Biggie. Hopefully Biggie's a good example for him. We don't want to lose him to Newcastle's reserves or youth team. What we want to do is do it with him what MK Dons did with Dele Alli, which is basically lose him to a first team place in the Premier League. And hopefully he understands that. And just watching him is just so joyful compared to some of the shit we've had to endure.
Well, this season. Yesterday.
Well, I've trying to think. I can't think of a midfielder I've seen who was that at ease on the ball and off the ball for a long time. And
Stephen Hughes?
Just yeah, he was very composed off the ball, normally in KFC. But it was just really nice to watch. I mean, let's just hope that it continues. But I mean, basically, we played 4-3-3. He played in the defensive midfield role of the three, and that's quite a big responsibility when you're playing in front of our back four. But it's just his reading of the game and anticipation. It's like, if you talk to chess players, I'm shit at chess. I barely can see the next move. But, you know, the good chess players can see 3, 4, 5, 10 moves ahead.
Sorry, when do you talk to chess players?
Pardon?
How many chess players do you talk to? Sorry, when you said when you talk to chess players, like you're Gary Kasparov.
Like me and Bobby Fischer were like, you know, bestest mates. It was the best analogy I had, okay? But you watch, Stevenson just reads the game, and we've had, I mean, talk about Stephen Hughes. Stephen Hughes was always chasing players. You know, John Fleck got, like, how many bookings last season for just stupid, out-of-position Stevenson barely makes a tackle because he just intercepts it. He's just there. The ball bounces. Oh, but Stevenson's got it again. And I think...
It's worth noting he did get a yellow for a bad tackle last night. Not to crush your point, because it's not crushing at all, but it did exactly what you said he didn't do. He just did, so...
I thought he won the ball, but that's why that's why I couldn't remember. It was one of those ones like, well, okay. But, you know, I think he's playing, again, I don't want to go OTT. I think our midfield three are as good as any midfield three in our division. And that you know, he's only as good as the players alongside him. And I know Neil's about to talk about Biggie, so I'll just give a passing moment to the Jurgen Klinsmann of the North. Good Chris McCann, who does like a dive. Boy, that man likes a dive. But he was... we discussed at the start of the season. I couldn't see it. I just couldn't see it. The last couple of games, you can start to see it. The guy's just... He's very comfortable at just carrying the ball 5-10 yards. And it's almost like goes unnoticed that you attack 5-10 yards further forward. And it's going to be very hard to replace him. Not just what he brings to the game, but what he brings to the team from maturity-wise and movement-wise in January, because McCann and the other two are making us look like a football team again. Yeah,
I mean, that is basically, I mean, give or take maybe one or two other elements, but it is that three-man midfield that's basically keeping our heads, well, not even above water, but not drowning yet. Neil, the third person that we've not talked about is our favourite lunatic, Gael Bigramana.
Lunatic is correct. He's turning into more and more of one, and it's actually good for him. Yeah. Because when he first came into the team, Biggie was all about... he was crazy, obviously, but he was all about sort of the technical stuff, the impeccable first touch and the vision that nobody else had. And then he went away to Newcastle. Nobody saw him for ages. He came back, and he was kind of... I think he struggled last year from just being in that team. And you kind of mentioned earlier, I saw a tweet to me on Twitter about Marvin Soldau just being almost a victim of the better players that we've had in the past. And I feel like last season, that was almost Biggie's issue. Obviously, he messed up a lot, and there were some big problems with his play. And I don't think that's changed too much. The only difference being is I think he feels a whole lot more responsibility this year than he did last year. And he feels more sort of concerned with actually what's going on with the team. And I think what I like most about him at the moment is his pressing, and it's unlike me to like stuff like pressing because I just feel like it's almost a mandatory part of the game. But there's something about the way he does it. It's kind of so purposeful, and he does that weird sort of leg stamp, which just gets in the way of the ball. He does it so often, and last night was no different. I mean, like I said, I don't think with the ball he's playing much different to how he did before. The only difference is he's probably a little bit higher further forward, so he's not actually sort of as culpable if he does lose the ball. Last year he was taking the ball off the keeper most of the time, playing the same risky passes, but causing us all all manner of issues. So I think that three, because they're playing more and more, they will become more and more comfortable. And even if we did lose the other game, it almost pales in significance just to the fact that they're kind of starting to play together. They're starting to feel part of a unit, and he's an important part of it. And I agree with Paul about they could be the best three in the league. And I know we're second from bottom and we've still got a lot to prove. But when you see it, all three playing in that sort of dominant manner against a team that supposedly is firing pretty well in the league, it bodes well for us. I should
also add that it might sound like high praise to call them the best three central midfielders when we're second bottom in the league, but that doesn't account for how awful the defence is at the moment. It's entirely possible that they are the best three, given how fucking woeful that defence is. Paul, sorry, go on. What were you going to say?
But it's also taken a while for them three to be actually played together.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely right.
Because McCann was injured for a bit, and obviously Mowbray was protecting Stevenson, and Biggie came in a bit late. I mean,
just very quickly, I want to give a big shout out to Callum Mountfield, a friend of the show. He, beforehand, sort of half jokingly, when I was talking to him, credited this sort of mini revival to just dropping Gadjev. And I think he's got a lot to be said for it, isn't there?
I mean, you know my philosophy on midfielders. I like my midfielders to have a purpose, which I never really saw in Gadjev, and I wasn't sure what he was or what he is. And also, I like my midfielders to be able to move the ball quite quickly, which our midfield three can do. I mean, you look at them individually. Obviously, McCann probably is too good for this division. Biggie, you'd like to think is, and I think we all agree that at some point Stevenson's going to just, Stevenson's not going to be here for that long. We said this on previous pods. The guy is clearly class, and class doesn't stay in League One for that long. And you just hope that. The other thing we've got to be honest about is Oxford try to play football against us, and I'm a big believer this season that the teams who try and play football against us, we will have a better chance of beating than the teams who don't, because I still don't rate our defence that highly. And the couple of times when Oxford, so very rarely when they went long, were the times that our defence were probably put under the most pressure, when they had to make decisions under pressure of a high ball. All four of them made an error, at least one error, where that situation occurred. But where teams try to play through us, I think we've got the ability to hold our own. Obviously, we can't force every team to play football against us, so we still need that dominant centre half in January. But I think another player who deserves a lot of credit at the moment is Marvin Sordell, who scored again, and it must be nice to have a manager who's not permanently slagging him off for being someone else.
I thought it was great last night.
Yeah, he's coming into his own, isn't he?
So seemingly being on the wing actually helps him. I think Agye had it kind of hard last night because he was so alone up front, and I feel like if Sordell had done the same job, it would probably wouldn't have played the same sort of quality of game. But he was just left and right wing, getting the ball, and I think, like you say, he's just coming into his own. He's finally starting to find his feet in the league. Get the feel for the ball, and I predict good things for Marvin.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think I said it to you as a joke earlier, but to repeat it I think his biggest failing is going to be that he's not going to hit the heights of the ridiculously good strikers that we've had over the last few years, and we have been really spoilt with Armstrong and Leon Clark and Callum Wilson and McGoldrick, and I don't think he's there. And I think that at first, to be fair, he didn't start setting the world on fire or anything, but actually over the last few games that I've seen and from what you're saying from yesterday, actually he's a perfectly good League One striker, isn't he? By the sounds of it, I put it earlier as if he was the Chris Stokes of strikers. Just like, fine. I think he'll score 15 this season, which will be a decent return, won't it? But it's not his fault that he's amazing. That he's not amazing.
But as we discussed again before the pod, we had a good chat. Is what do you class as successful striker? I mean, as I said to you before, I had a quick look today. After his first 10 games, Adam Armstrong had scored 8 goals. He played 40 games for us last season and scored 20 goals, which means he got 12 in his last 30. I can see Sordell getting around about 10 to 12 in his next 30 games, which would put him up around about 16, 18 goals. If you go on the basis, has he scored 4 in his last 5 starts? Or 3 in his last 4?
Something like that.
So, it's...
And playing out wide as well, not playing straight through the middle, yeah.
Which is giving him, as we sort of discussed, he's sort of playing as a striker out wide, which is meaning he's in the box to cause problems. And, I full credit to the guy. He's taken his opportunity, which is... I haven't seen it, but everyone seems to be saying that he was really good in that Sky programme about players out of contract.
I've not got round to that yet.
So, I think he understands this is a massive opportunity for him. And hopefully he's going to take it, because if he does get around about 15 goals, then we probably will be okay. We probably won't go down. But I still worry about our defence. I thought the defence played better yesterday, individually and as a unit, as they have for a while. But as I said, I thought Oxford played into our strengths. It would have been very interesting if they'd have got that goal back 15 minutes before. But, they didn't, and we took our opportunities. So let's use that now to go into the next game, where we've won 3 of the last 4 games, 2 of the last 3 league games. Rochdale are a team who they got thumped last night by Swindon.
I'm not sure, but their rise up the league has been inspiring.
I know before that there were 5 wins on the bounce.
Well, they were. I remember a mate of mine who's a Rochdale fan texted me when I think they were bottom, and then they got a last minute winner and went ahead of us. But that was less than a month ago, and now they're in 5th.
So Rochdale won 5 in a row?
Yeah, they won 5 in a row and then lost last night.
They're 5th in the league, yeah. So, I mean, it's
so
not...
It is possible.
It's possible, yeah, and secondly, it's possible pretty fucking quickly. Like, we can get out of the relegation zone really, well, not even the relegation zone. We can get up into the top half in, 2 games or something. Well, probably a bit more than that.
And so I was just thinking, someone else who deserves a lot of credit, and I know is another much maligned player. I thought Lee Burge had a really good game yesterday as well.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him get some stick today, but it's nice to hear. Neil Burge?
Overall, yeah, I think people focus on the dodginess, don't they? There are a couple of moments, but I think he put that to one side, and beyond that, he was solid as you like for a goalkeeper. No, yeah, very good.
Do we have anything?
Sorry, Joe,
yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I think he's just unless he makes 4 Gordon Banks-esque saves a game, there will always be someone or people who will always criticise Lee Burge. I think just like finding people on Twitter who don't like Lee Burge isn't the hardest thing in the world. I think, it's just some people will never forgive him for the Worcester game. Some people will always remember whichever game it was on TV where he didn't have the best of games, but we still won. I think he's just one of those players who will never be people's favourites, but as far as I'm concerned, he's in the team on merit now. There was nothing he could have done with the 3 goals against Charlton. There was nothing he could have done with the goal yesterday. But he made some really crucial saves. And the other thing he did really well yesterday was he plucked the ball out of the air from a couple of corners when we needed, we needed someone to calm the game down. I think, I said, he deserves a lot of credit.
That's good. Can I ask one final thing before we wrap up? I just want to ask about Dan Agyei, because I've only seen a little bit of him this season, and I thought he was very good in the first half against Bradford, and then against Port Vale, before he sort of was blown out of his ass, which was the first sort of 10 minutes or so. I'm joking, maybe the first 60 minutes or so. I think defences look scared of him. I'd be interested, Neil, to get your take on how he did yesterday.
He weren't that great, really. But I think a lot of it came down to it was sort of team shape. All our work was happening behind him. So the midfield were doing such a good job and the wings were doing such a good job. I think what you need is, in those sort of games, is a striker who kind of almost desperate to get on the ball, sort of has this insatiable appetite for the ball. And I don't feel like he has that. I feel like he'll take the ball if it comes to him. And I think there's potential for him to do stuff. But at the moment, I don't sense that he's going to work hard enough to get the ball. So I can't particularly praise him. I won't fault him as such, because I think a lot of what happened last night was just simply down to everything that was going on around him. But considering he was on the pitch for, 80 minutes, and Tudgay came on and probably got more of the ball in the 10 minutes he was on the pitch to the 80 minutes previous, it was kind of telling, because actually a lot of that was just down to Tudgay sticking his leg out, getting his back in, being a bit stronger than their defender, where Agyei, for the size of him, I'd expect him to sort of hold the ball up a lot better.
He's a funny player, because I think I can equally see why he's risen to the level that he's risen to, but why he's now on loan with us. I think I've seen flashes of real talent, and it just seems that I've just seen a couple of defences look scared of him, just outright scared of him. Port Vale,
and they should be.
Yeah, but then I just think I can't remember seeing a professional footballer with such low stamina. I think somebody on Twitter described him.
Yeah, you have. You've seen Manseth.
Oh God, yeah.
God,
good call.
dreadful.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, bar Manseth. But he just seems to tire so quickly, and also just really bereft of confidence. I think that's a really astute observation on your part, Neil. I completely agree with you. Although that's tantamount to me saying that I'm astute, which makes me a bit of a dick. I think that I don't think he begs for the ball. I know I always bring up this, and it's pointless. But I always think about Adam Armstrong's first goal, where he points where he wants the ball. Yeah. And I just think straight away you looked at him and just went, I know it's first impressions and everything, but you go, bloody hell, that's a confident goal scorer. And then it turned out that, obviously you look at it in hindsight and you sort of look back at it. I just think of Agyei kind of, I don't know, he feels like, I don't feel like he doesn't want to shoot when he's on the ball, and I'm not a big fan of that. But I do like the look of him. I think he looks okay.
I think he could potentially do a job. I just think there's something needs to click in his mind. He needs to go into that, dare I say it, beast mode, where he kind of utilises all these attributes he's got available to him and starts dominating games, because he could do. Because I feel like he should be able to hold up the ball. Look at the size of the man. He's bigger than anybody. He should be able to hold up the ball at least, and then bring other players in. And I think that's kind of the thinking yesterday, was that we'd have him in the team to do that, and he doesn't do it, and it confuses me, because if I was that size, I'd be using everything, all my strength as much as possible. I'm not. I'm tiny, so I can't. And I'm jealous every day.
He's pretty nippy when he gets going as well. Sorry, go on, Paul.
I thought he had quite, in a interestingly bizarre career way, I thought he had a really good game. And
in what sense?
Until he touched the ball. And I know it sounds really bizarre, but what I think he did really well was he played quite high up, which meant the Oxford defenders had to play quite deep. And he did occupy the two centre halves.
Yeah, that's true.
Which gave a lot of space to Lemares and Sordell. And I think what he did was he stretched the game and allowed Biggie and McCann to have space to go into. If he'd have dropped deep, he could have and went looking for the ball. He basically would have brought the whole Oxford defence with him, which would have condensed the amount of space we had to play. I think by playing high up, which I don't think is his natural game, because he's not the sort of guy who wants the ball threaded through, he sort of allowed the space for the game to go ahead. And I'm not going to say he had a great game with the ball at his feet, because I really don't think he did. But what I think he did do is he kept their defence entertained. When they had the ball, he sort of made sure that they didn't have lots of time to play it. He not saying he was really high pressure, not like Clinton and Morrison, look at me run. It was just a case of, I'm going to get there and make sure your job isn't easy. And I think his unselfishness allowed other players to play well. And I disagree, sort of agree and disagree on the Marcus Tuggle thing. I think the thing is, with 10 minutes to go, Oxford just, by that point, were just throwing players forward. And it was easy for Tuggle to get on the ball because it was just, the game was so much more open for him because...
But that was almost my point, Paul. I kind of felt like he won the ball rather than the ball was afforded to him. And that was kind of the difference. I mean, there were opportunities when he kind of just dropped to him and that was fine. But I think there were more instances of times when he actually won the ball from their defender than when Aguirre was on the ball. But, I mean, I think it's almost an aside, isn't it? It's not relevant because obviously it's a small part of the game. I
just think Aguirre wore them down. I think Aguirre, as I said, I think Aguirre's attitude to it was really pleasing to see because, as I said, he almost went through the entire game without many touches, which for a young striker can be very hard. I didn't see a player getting disheartened. I saw a player who was still giving his all for the team, and that's what you want out of, not everyone can be the star player. Sometimes you just got to sort of do your job to the best of your ability. And I felt he did that yesterday without, getting any of the credit because he didn't look good with the ball.
I think that's an interesting perspective, but it's a fair one. I think a lot of what happened though was probably more. I think it was luck than design. I don't think it was kind of him actively trying to play the way that you're suggesting. I think it was just kind of that's the way the game sort of fashioned around him, and that's. Actually, I kind of feel like when he was on the ball, he really was quite selfish. But, I mean, it's really sort of minor points, I think.
Shall we wrap up? It feels like we've talked about that game, doesn't it?
Mm.
Yep.
Little bit of tiny little bit of Rochdale preview. Rochdale, as we said earlier, have shot right up the league. They find themselves in 5th. They've got 21 points, 7 points behind Scunthorpe. They've been they're 3 points clear in first after 14 games. That's a bit mad, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Looking at that now.
Ian Henderson, who I think for 2 years I thought was Darius Henderson, has got 6 goals so far. Then perennial massive menace Calvin Andrew has got 3. Pleasure. They've got Sanmi Odalusi up front, apparently. I don't know why.
Oh, wow.
Why people have him, but they do. Peter Vincenti's there. He's a really good player, but I've got a funny feeling he might be injured or not playing for some reason at the moment. But he's a really very good player. And then Nathaniel Mendez-Lang, I believe, is a wide player that we must have seen a few times and seems to stand out, but I can never really remember. I can't remember. Yeah, no. But I think he's a decent player. And Callum Camps as well is a name that I recognise from thinking, he's good. But it could be because he's a good defender, but it's more likely he's a good wide player. So that's some knowledge for you.
Nice.
No, in the loosest possible sense. Yeah, that's on Saturday, so that's happening. I think that's everything. If you want to get us on Twitter... Oh, yeah, go on, Neil.
Just a very quick one. I've started to notice very heavily that Sam Ricketts has been recalled, Samuel Ricketts, in the programme on Twitter. I'd quite like someone to confirm whether this is either just someone being very, very astute at their job, very keen, or he's actually requested it in sort of Andrew Cole fashion. I don't know.
I'm glad that you went there. I immediately went to Andrew Cole.
It feels like you get to a certain point in life and you feel like, I need to extend my name back to its original origin. But in my mind, Samuel feels younger than Sam.
Do you reckon?
I don't know, Samuel feels like, you'd call your 4-year-old kid, Samuel, come for dinner. But,
yeah, maybe, yeah.
I think
go on.
In age range, I'd go Samuel, Sammy, Sam.
Okay.
Youngest to oldest.
Yeah, I guess I've never really thought about it before. But I'm glad, Andrew Cole, without a doubt, the gold standard of football naming and branding, isn't it? Outstanding. Right, okay, so I think that's everything for us. We'll be back next week, probably. If you want to get a hold of us on Twitter, it's at NeilAmptonShow, or email neilamptonshow@gmail.com. Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for listening. Bye.